Hello, Leo. Welcome to Catalyst Energies and welcome to your new moon astrology forecast. We are looking at the new moon in Aquarius and the 2 weeks leading up to the full moon in Leo, actually. So, welcome back, everyone, and welcome if you're new to this channel or to the series. If you're interested in learning more, you can hit that subscribe button. And if you find any value in this content, you can certainly support what's happening here by hitting that like button, sharing, commenting. All of those things make a difference. And you can support this channel through Subscribestar, and there's a link in the description box below. So this forecast is for Leo rising, Leo moon, Leo sun, and we're going to be looking at this upcoming lunar cycle starting with our new moon in Aquarius. It's actually also the Chinese New Year, the year of the water tiger as well. So there's plenty of information out there in the interwebs about Chinese astrology and the water tiger that is certainly a nice addendum to any other astrological information you may find yourself interacting with. So Leo, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus, the fixed stars the fixed signs are really going to be feeling this new moon and this whole lunar cycle of February, probably the most, especially if you have your sun, moon rising in those mid areas or in the very late degrees of 26, 27, 28, 29 also, because at the full moon, those are the degrees, and those are all galactic degrees. Actually, 25, 26, 27 degrees are the galactic degrees. So, and so all of the fixed signs are going to be involved in a fixed grand square at this full moon with the moon's nodes, which I'll show you in a little bit when we talk about. So we're all about to go through something together. And if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that mid-February is something that we've been talking about for a long time, that there is a release or some sort of escape from bondage or a tipping point in some ways in mid-February, and it's really at this full moon on the 16th. So this lunar cycle starting with a new moon in Aquarius is a great place to set some intentions and really be aware of all the dynamics at play. So Leo, your ruling body is the sun, right? Whether you're a Leo sun, you have a Leo moon, or Leo rising, the sun is really pushing the chart along and has a lot to do with your personality and your psyche. In Aquarius, it's in the sign opposite. And just keep in mind, Leo, that in order for you to truly find your authentic expression or performance, right? Because Leo is very dramatic, very creative, has a voice, is confident, is the center, just like the sun is the center of our solar system. It is the largest, most luminescent body that everything revolves around, right? But without an audience, Leo, that you don't find your true nature. And so remember that when you have the sun in the sign of Aquarius, in the sign of you in your relationships, your interpersonal relationships, you become the audience as a means of fully expressing your authenticity. And with this new moon in particular, for the Leo person, it's going to be fine-tuning yourself in relation to other. That is going to be the potential intention here, right? There's an opportunity to really grow and develop within ourselves individually in a way that we become a fine-tuned instrument. We become like a barometer. We want to be able to measure the changes in the social environment to make reasonable predictions and forecasts about how to be in harmony with those changes, just like a barometer measures the change in pressure of the atmosphere, and then you can predict or forecast weather. It's the same thing for the social environment. And for the Leo person, it's in your interpersonal relationships where you're going to be able to really measure that and feel into that the most. And this is going to, at the full moon for Leo, be a very significant and powerful and maybe very emotional revelation of the self, and specifically all of the potential of the self in Leo that could be very overwhelming, but also very, very exciting. So you have Saturn that's already here in the seventh house, Leo, in Aquarius. That's been, it might be a little bit of a buzzkill. You might have like this responsibility aspect in your relationships that you have been living with. Now, this could be something that is stabilizing and gives you a structure or that is needed, or it could be something that's very limiting and overbearing. You could be fulfilling some sort of father dynamic issues in your relationships. You could find yourself being extra paternal in your relationships, or possibly looking for that in your relationships, or somebody in your interactions interpersonally. You're just having much more of a binding experience there. But it also really does speak, especially with the new moon itself, to a very stable force and an aspect of who you are that is very committed and very disciplined, and doesn't leave a lot of room for deviation in relationships in terms of who you are, right? But this is a good thing, because from that stable position, you are able to be like a fine-tuned instrument and measure the changes in your relationships, because there is a stable core with Saturn here that has allowed the Leo person to at least have a starting point of stability in terms of who they are in their relationships, any type of relationship, right? To any kind of social order in that you can think of, right? Your marriage, your business partnership, your relationship with, your boss, for instance, maybe your relationship with other family members. You have a relationship or a contract with some other social organization or person. This is what the seventh house is. And there's a sense of responsibility with Saturn that is actually very grounding in some ways for the Leo person, depending on what they get into. So this new moon is setting the tone for being able to measure the changes in you as a result of your relationships, and the revelation of the self. I think is going to be very substantial for the Leo person in a very good way. Like I said, I think it's very exciting for this process to unfold for Leo. So what other things are involved during this new moon? Well, we see that Venus is in the sixth house. Mercury is now retrograde in the sixth house. Pluto's in the sixth house. This whole area of the sixth house has been the process of reconstitution, your works, your daily routines, your habits, your self-care protocol, your healing protocol, what you're doing with your day-to-day energy, how you're using your resources to develop something or to discipline or train yourself in some way. And the whole idea is to purify yourself and to practice some measure of hygiene and organization of your life and yourself. And this often will come about through a crisis of some sort. So Leo people may have already been going through this quite substantially, and this is where the new moon of the last cycle, the new moon in early January 2nd, was in this area for Leo. And so maybe it's the daily routines that have really needed to undergo a massive metamorphosis. Maybe it is the healing process, or what you're putting your time into every day and what you're putting your energy and resources into in terms of your own growth and development and learning. And so Venus is now direct, and there is a relationship here with Uranus, which really does rule this new moon, honestly, because it's in Aquarius, and Uranus in the 10th house of career. So the mission for Leo, whatever it is, whatever the zenith of the destiny is, and the public life and the institutionalized power, right? What you're doing in the world and what you're building, right? What your goals are. it hasn't been very stable for Leo, or it's been very unconventional. Maybe it's been changing a lot and it's been glitching a lot. Maybe it has been innovative, right? Maybe you've been thinking outside of the box about what it means to have a career or what your mission is. And now that the North Node is in this area for Leo, the soul's journey is really going to be pulled into the direction of, what are you here to really do? What's your mission? What are your goals, like your life goals? So that is going to be a much more a stronger focal point for all of us. But for the Leo person, it's in this realm of where you release a lot of your power. And we are coming into the year of the water tiger, and there's no lion in Chinese astrology. So the tiger really takes that position. So with the Leo person, I would say that you'd have to find out what year you were born and what animal in the zodiac for Chinese astrology if you really want to get a full picture. But this is kind of the same idea of like really in a state of sovereign authority of oneself. So to not really be, for mission to be unstable and to be shifting all the time, or to be changing, or to have to think outside of the box, or maybe be not stable about it, I think has been interesting. But Leo, it's time, you're going to start seeing the energy towards the goals themselves that you're pulling in order to evolve at a soul level. And so Venus over here in the 6th house, what are you doing every day? She's gone into this deep inventory and now is coming out of it, and is very stable and patient and wise, and knows what, and is ready to listen and ready to start taking notes and putting pieces together about the underlying network of what you're doing every day with your life, and the value and the meaning of it, and what it feels like in your body, right? Venus a lot of times will be experienced in the body and physical, material types of things. So, and what we're sensitive to in terms of value and worth. So this is directly connected over to the area of your mission and your career. And so these two are very much in a strong and supportive connection with each other. So I think that there is a reevaluation and really now ready to start putting something new into place around your works, your activities. Maybe you're going to start instituting a new training or practice protocol. Maybe there will be a healing crisis. Maybe there'll be hidden enemies that come out of the woodwork. But it's all in a very strong and supportive connection to this awakening process in terms of what you're here to do, Leo, right? This mission that the 10th house represents. Now we have Black Moon Lilith over here, which is also part of this conversation because it's in opposition to Venus and it's in a sextile or a 60-degree angle to Uranus. So while this new moon is happening on the 1st, all of these relationships are also happening that's related to the work you're doing on yourself, right? And within yourself. This is where a lot of the energy has been of late because it's been Capricorn. And there was a full moon here. This is where the new moon was in January. The full moon was in the 12th house for Leo, right? In the returning to source and the collective karma and what that feels like. And surrendering to the flow of that and seeing if the emotional, how you feel about that and what the emotional context is that for the Leo person. And also with a moon in the 12th house, really connecting into not just your own experience multidimensionally, but everybody's and the whole picture. So there's still more here to be experienced. And Black Moon Lilith is even deeper than our own subconscious. It's primal, right? It's self-preservation. It's expulsion. It'll demand to be heard in the 12th house. So, I mean, this can come out in dreams. This can come out in the astral. This can come out in imaginative ways and fantasy. It could come out in isolation in your meditation. It is still going to be expressed and felt very strongly in this way. But you have Venus that's kind of holding it down with some patient, wise grandmother energy in your daily life, what you're doing on the regs to condition yourself and purify yourself, while karmically something comes spilling out of the Leo person or being expressed. And maybe it's a lot of grief. Maybe it's a lot of anger. Maybe it is just martyrdom, or maybe it's like there's a lot of different ways the 12th house can be expressed. But with Lilith, it's very deep and primal, and it's an explosive almost. And so you got to give it an outlet. Well, this opposition with Venus is like the outlet. You find the balance. You don't want to cut yourself off or cap this, but you also don't want to lose. You don't want to give in to this Kali energy, because it could be destructive. So Venus, like, embody yourself into your physical routines in this moment. And in your daily habits and who you're in service to. And that's going to help you, I would say, Leo, get more into communion with who you are in your relationships in general, because this is where it all starts with this new moon, is in this area. So, and also too, to have a sense of humor about whatever this is, and to use humor as a deconditioning tool, so you don't get trapped in kind of like the illusion of it, or a sense of hopelessness, right? And no boundaries here, right? That you just become your anger, or you become this primal urge to protect oneself. And having some humor and some clowning about it is, and the self-esteem to really allow for that into that space, I think is going to be very beneficial. The sextile to Uranus, still on the same day as the new moon here, is a way to you can really invest this and activate this harmonious energy to create something or transmute something that is what you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to kind of like allow this to be humorous, or to find the humor in something that may be very grief oriented or just kind of hopeless, right? It can just feel like so hopeless and you're just so angry. And it may not even be yours. It's just you're channeling the anger of such a deep, from the planet, or just from the divine feminine in general. And if you can take that and apply that into what otherwise is a very unstable position in terms of your mission, I feel like that it can be utilized to fertilize the ground, right? Give you an outlet for maybe thinking, like I said, thinking outside of the box, innovating in terms of career, and how you perceive it, right? And just waking up, to what your mission really is. If you connect into this deep primal, like, template in terms of your own karma and the karma of everything that you've ever participated in, I think that this can really motivate and, be the impetus for like some sort of quantum leap into like, my mission, I see now I remember. So, and again, it's going to be about embodying literally into your daily routines and your practices, and being ready to release some old habits in order to be in alignment with much more authentic ones, much more natural ones, and much more healthy ones. That's, the process of wellness, is in the 6th house. And I think Leo's really had to, clean fucking house. And I'm sorry for swearing, but it's true in so many ways. So this is the new moon in general, all of these relationships. You're also going to see, before this even happens, that the moon is in a square to Uranus in the weekend leading up to this. So that's in a video that I'll link in the description box below. That is the weekend astrology report, and the sun square Uranus and a bunch of stuff for the weekend is really relevant and provides a lot of context. So if we were to go forward, Leo, to the full moon, just to kind of check in here with this before we say goodbye, just to get an idea of what we are looking at. So this is like Valentine's Day, right after the Super Bowl. We have, at least, in the United States. I know that doesn't matter anywhere else, but I'm sure other people in the world watch American Super Bowl. There's a lot going on there. So here we go. This is our full moon in Leo. So you can already see, here's our grand square with the full moon in Leo, the sun in Aquarius. They're 27 to 28 degrees. These are galactic degrees. And then you have the grand square with the nodes of the moon. They're not as bold as these on this chart for some reason, but they're definitely there. So this grand square is a conflict that nobody's getting around, right? We have to face it head on. This is a challenge. This will be incredibly frustrating, overwhelming, I would say, in some ways, because there's going to be a very strong emotional and intuitive and subconscious emergence and remembrance of the Atlantean story and all of the possibility and potential, but all of the destruction if it is not harnessed correctly. The sun at this degree of Aquarius, is the natal moon of the United States, right? It's going to give everybody an outlet emotionally for what that is, which is about storing energy, right? The capacity to use our intellect and our human capacity, not to control nature, but to be in harmony with it and to store energy. And that's what the real power of a collective is to store potential energy in order to utilize it when it's necessary. And so the Sabian symbol here is, a bunch of trees that have been chopped down and sawed up so you have them for firewood later. This is about being able to be in tune with natural progression and use the human intellect to be in harmony with that and to be comfortable and forecast things. I don't want to say necessarily predict, but it has a lot to do with storing energy. And the collective can store energy, the water bearer can store energy. What becomes hard is when it's the emotional landscape of the individual with the Kundalini unlocked, whether or not you can store all of that energy. And with it being all these galactic degrees, the nodes that are Pleiadian, that's another video that you can watch that's linked in the description box, the Pleiadian revival. It talks about the time this winter and spring where the nodes are in conjunction with the Pleiades, and this full moon and grand square is all galactic starseed connections. So that's in that video as well. So you can check that out for that context. But at least for Leo, the full moon, it'll be an illumination about the self, all of the potential of the self. I think, like I said, this is very exciting. But when you look at the karmic angle here of the nodes, again, it's around your axis of power. And specifically with the North Node in the 10th house, you're really being drawn in the direction of releasing this power in a mission and not so much staying in your personal and inner life. This is a powerful tool for you, but this is, in fact, where the South Node is now, is in Scorpio. So there's some karmic elements here too. Leo is going to have to step out into a leadership position or be more in their relationships and in their contractual agreements moving forward. This will bring this out entirely with this full moon. So I think that it's very exciting for the Leo person, because who doesn't want to have all of the full potential of who they are, like, shining brightly within them. But this also can be very overwhelming depending on how, what it is that you are being released from in terms of your everyday habits and what you're doing to work on yourself, right? So I think this is a very exciting time for Leo, okay? Chiron is involved a lot during this time from the new moon to the full moon. You see that Jupiter is also in a sextile to Uranus in your 8th house. This is where you produce energy. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And for you, it's definitely spiritual. with Pisces here, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's transcendent. You use the power of the spirit, and source, is what you produce. That's the highest or the best case scenario here for Leo in terms of like the quality of what they produce in their relationships is the woo. This is why Leo needs to step forward. And again, there's a lot of karmic aspects that are still being let go of right now, and surrendering to oneself and releasing oneself from that burden with Venus and Mars during this full moon is going to be really instrumental in confronting the karma about who you are and have been, and where you karmically have been in terms of gathering your power and how you're going to release it. And you might have to be innovative, or think outside of the box, or from a quantum kind of futuristic perspective with Uranus here, right? Because it's a shifting landscape, and we don't know where, that's the whole point of Uranus. It's always moving things around because it's challenging us to look at things from the higher mind and the open third eye, where the material realm is, I don't want to say it's less relevant, but it's not all there is. But natural fulfillment is a big part of the Leo's mission. And so perhaps that being willing to think outside of the box about that, or accept that the instability is part of the awakening process, I think would be, a pretty good thing for Leo to consider. But ultimately, there's a lot of karmic aspect of who you've been and what you've done with yourself that is ready to be released, so that you can fully come into yourself as the regal, royal, sovereign individual that you are. It's time for Leos to start stepping forward. So with that in mind, I'm gonna leave it there, Leo. So a couple things I want to share with you. One of them is, I told you about the different videos. They're going to be linked in the description box. But when it comes to starseed stuff, I just want to remind people, if they haven't seen this already, if you're not on Telegram or on my email list, this is sale that I'm doing on Starseed Readings. These are recorded readings that will look at your starseed markings in your chart, so identify them, where they are from, the traits associated with those, and then we weave together by looking at your natal chart, your progress chart, what this means for you. So that's available until the full moon, which is on the 16th. So you can book by emailing me. That's in the description box below. You can send me a DM or a message, reach out to me on Telegram, or you can send a request form through my website, so catalystenergies.net. You go to services, you scroll down and send me a request there, and just put Pleiadian Revival in the subject line, and we can get started on this. Because this full moon, especially for Leo and Aquarius, but Leo, you're about to see, have a really strong emotional, feeling-based experience about all the potential of who you can be and what you can become. And it's very exciting. And to know that your starseed aspects are woven into that can be very powerful and unlock a lot of doors that maybe are time to open. Who knows? So that I just wanted to share with you guys. So thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, if you want to support this work on Subscribestar, you can find that link in the description box below. And I will see you, Leo, on the next report, which will be at the full moon in your sign on February 16th. Until then, take care. Bye.